Hello, everyone, and welcome to the episode number 16 of 12.
Nope, 18.
18 of 12 of this campaign that we're in Lunar Eclipse. Thanks for listening. If you're listening live or if you're listening into the future, just wanted to do a small amount of housekeeping. If you know a good friend of ours, the wonderful Vidar in IRL, you may know or have heard that in recent weeks he has been diagnosed with some poor cancer that's going to get his butt kicked really, really hard in a matter of weeks, I'm confident. But there is some reasonable connections that people have made to real life Vidar's condition and D&D game Vidar's condition. And although that is a reasonable connection to make, we have made sure that all of the future storyline that has to do with that spider has been run through Aaron and make sure that we're all okay with it, because the last thing we need anybody to do is cause any trauma after episode 1. All the episode 1 trauma was intentional and we're not sorry about it at all. After that, we have a little bit of grace. So just wanted to make it clear, anything that happens in today or future episodes, Aaron has a little bit of spoilers on that, so we're not doing anything too ridiculous. So wanted to get that out of the way. That being said, as we left off, and John is with us, Grant will be joining us a little bit later today. He's coming back from work still. It's going to be late. If I remember correctly, we let off in the vault underneath the Borealis Academy in the Department of Higher Education, where the party's been brought into sort of the inner sanctum, where it has been revealed that they have a hold of a ship, and not just any cool ship, but that of Naka's father. Oh, I also forgot to say that every time that Steven or I say or today, the party gets a gold, because I was listening
5 times already.
Oh my god.
All right, adding it to my bank right now.
A gold
Wait, it's
each
party
or a
funds,
gold
though,
for the
so who
party?
has
No, just one total.
Oh.
Wait,
I was listening back to last week's
I do have the party
episode,
gold, yeah.
and I was horrified by how much I was saying it. So
is that a 5
You're off
each
to a great
person,
start.
or
no, 5
5 for the
total.
party. Yeah.
Okay,
One each.
okay. All right. Don't get all sassy on me. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, adding. Thank you.
Okay.
I actually have a chat
there.
bot that's recording you and transcripting everything right now.
Well, it's a good thing Steven's doing the first half of the episd.
Well,
it's not going to be
we
my problem.
No,
are
it's
in-
not. I'm
You guys
have so much gold.
You guys are in so much trouble.
Sure are.
Nice. All right.
Okay, you guys are in the... So close to saying it. You guys are in the... My mouth does not want to speak without saying it.
You can do it.
Okay. You are in front of Naka's father's ship, waiting to, or rather, listening to. I can't do it.
That's
Wait,
one.
was that 2?
That was 2.
I know.
That was 2. That was 2.
No, stack
No,
doesn't
that was
count.
2.
It's just 1.
No, that was 2.
It's gonna be really fun. Okay.
All right, let's get to the story. We're not gonna count anymore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Wink,
count.
wink, wink, wink.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Let's go back and count later.
Good idea.
Yeah, just don't call out every single incident because I will feel horrible about it.
Well, that's what we want. We want the DMs to feel awful.
I see. It's not gonna stop. Okay.
That's what she said.
Yep. You guys are standing in front of the ship. Naka, you have. Oh my god. I'm gonna.
Don't worry
ignore
about it. You're
It's
good.
okay.
You're
It's
good.
okay.
You're
We're
good.
not thinking about it that
Naka,
much.
you have been told that this is the not the Lunar Ad Lashar, but the name of the ship that I don't have written down in front of me. The Umbra Imago. Thank you.
And it does look like it. It's not just the same name. That's the ship.
Does that count as an Umbra?
No.
No.
You gotta watch it. Miranda's been really spicy the last couple days, so
Yes, it is in very good condition. We salvaged it from the sea, specifically the glacial depths where it had crashed. It is, again, in shockingly good condition, largely because we believe the RNO that had encased it. You can see over in the corner the remnants of the web that the RNO had wrapped around the entire ship. We believe that protected it upon re-entry. No one alive, including the RNO. It seems, best we can guess, that it had been in orbit for some time, long enough for the RNO to all starve out.
can I do an insight check on that?
Sure, yeah.
Well, I don't know anything. I rolled a 3, so story checks out.
You
everybody.
probably haven't interacted with elephant people very often, so
The trunk
you're
gets in the
probably
way.
not- Exactly.
Yeah,
You
that's what
can't
she
quite
said.
read the mouth. Yep. This is Naka asking. Cool. Yes, I suppose so. I don't see why not. And he goes up to the ship and presses a button. That was an A, not an a button next to the door. That was an on the ship. And as he does so, you see Naka a number of what you recall to be patched holes on the ship, which you do not remember them being patched. It seems that has been done since it landed, but you recall when the blaster holes had been made in the entrance, your father's crew was making a quick exit after hitting a supply outpost on Solstice and were surrounded by blaster fire. But it seems that this memory has been patched over. You walk, presumably up the ramp, and into a small corridor which leads. Is everyone going up into the ship, or is anyone staying back?
I'm eating chips and salsa.
True.
Can you refresh me what is in the room that the ship is residing in?
Yeah. There is the ship, which is enormous. It's a class or two larger than the Lunar Adlashar, which was the ship that crashed fatefully in episode 1.
For the Celestials, it's probably comparable in size to the ship that you raided before landing.
For sure. You walk through the halls and see along the way there's a number of rooms along the hallway that are... My brain has some kind of block that is like forcing me to say before I speak.
You got it. Keep going.
You're doing great.
They're just
Don't
going to
worry
be
about
rich.
Oh, they're just gonna be rich.
I'm just counting the gold. It's fine.
Yep. Yeah, you walk through the hall and pass a number of rooms. The first one that you pass is the armory, where you held a blaster for the first time and learned to tear it down and rebuild it. And your first real responsibility on the ship was maintaining the weapons of the rest of the crew, at least those who didn't want to do it themselves. So you spent long hours in this room, but you continue on through into the mess hall, where you heard all kinds of stories, some of which you are sure were not true from the crew members, but it probably didn't matter too much to you whether they were real or not. And you pass through to the other side of the ship, and Domarov was initially leading you, but as you turn off into this other side of the ship, he stops for a moment and looks at you curiously, and then just begins to quietly follow you. And you come upon a row of escape pods with one missing.
John, I can't hear you if you're talking.
That is unfortunate. Is there anything else that the rest of you are looking for or paying attention to while walking through the ship?
Were we aware that this is Naka's father's ship? I don't know if we understood that or not. Because if I knew that, I don't think I would have boarded, but if I didn't know that, I think I just would have followed him.
I don't believe he made it clear to you, to any of you, that this is his father's ship.
Okay.
In fact, I'm not even sure that the Celestials would recognize the name. I don't think Naka ever told you guys the name of his father's ship either. I would say you could do an insight check to try to read his emotions here. Welcome back.
Did he say something? I didn't hear him.
I'm hearing him.
Yeah, I'm hearing him.
Okay.
I hear him, but stream can't still.
Yep. Okay. The stream, I'm going to refresh. Give me 1 second. John, can you say something? Yes. Is the stream hearing?
It's very quiet.
It's very quiet. He's cranked. Okay, everybody shut up for 1 second. Everybody quiet. John, say something real quick. I don't know why John would not be coming through on the stream.
Yeah, I can't hear him.
John, you're using the same link you have in the past, right?
I think everyone's audio is a bit quiet on the stream. I don't know if that's... except mine, apparently.
Interesting. Sorry, streamers. All right, trying to think of a real quick solution here. John, could you try to refresh for me once? If John or Naka wasn't so important to this scene, we would be moving on, but he is unfortunately the focal point. John, are you back?
I can hear him, but not on the stream.
Oh. John, are you there?
Yes. Yep, I'm here.
I can hear him. Can the stream hear him?
There we go. We got him.
Yes.
And his
Okay.
volume sounds about right.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So I would stand at the entrance of the pod that is empty, that's not there anymore, and try not to let anybody see my emotion. But I'm sure that Naka would be feeling it for sure. And then after a moment, I think I would make my way to the cockpit because I kind of want to see if there was anything left on the ship from my father, whether it's a journal or a log or whatever, just to see if there's anything of his that's left there, or if they have already cleaned it out. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Could you give me a deception check?
Sure.
And anyone who's interested, particularly Alora, I would say if you want to make insight checks, you can.
It would be a 21.
I got an
19
18.
on the die.
Jeez. Okay.
Is this the service box?
And you move on from the... Oh, actually, 1 second. Domarov seems to be studying you very closely as you are walking through the ship, just quietly at the moment. But you continue on towards the bridge of the ship. get there and see a mostly preserved, though probably cleaner than you remember it, bridge. And you said you're looking for logs or anything else left behind. Could you give me a investigation check?
Oh gosh, I think it would be an 8.
8.
7 on the die. I think investigation for me is 1.
Yeah, the place is, as I said, cleaner than you remember. It's I would say you go up to the captain's chair and try to interface with the computer there, trying to access any logs or anything left behind, and you realize, one, that it is functional, and two, that it seems that there are no logs at all, including automated ship logs.
Did you guys wipe the log system?
Us? No. The Omnesian Zone did that, I'm afraid. It wreaks havoc on all electrical systems, and I'm afraid it took us the majority of 5 years to repair it and get the ship back into working order, which it is in working order.
Was there anything that you guys kept from inside that might be of value to me? You see, this was my father's ship.
You see comprehension dawning across his face. I see. Well, you might wish to know that we afforded your father and his crew a Elysian burial.
Oh,
The
thank
best
you
that
for
we
that.
could do given the circumstances.
That's understandable. I appreciate the effort.
As for belongings left on the ship, there were a number of crew storage lockers with personal items in them. Nothing of, I would say, much use to you. We did, however, find the collection of several dozen spacesuits that the crew presumably used on their outings that are in working condition. And we also found one in the captain's quarters.
Can I have that suit? The one that was in the captain's quarters.
You may. In fact, this entire ship is yours to do with as you wish. Though we, of course, would prefer it to be returned at some point in functional condition. I was given orders from the wardens to supply you with this vessel for your mission. And I did not know that this was your father's ship, but it seems that fate has conspired to return it to you.
Fate or the gods?
Or the gods.
Sorry, your fear. No, I'm just
Orpheer is strangely puzzled by what he just heard. Slightly disgusted.
I'm very thankful for this ship. When you speak of a mission, is there something we should know?
Yes, there is actually more information that I will be able to provide you with. We have been tracking some of the communications for some time. We will go to the communications lab sometime later and give you that information.
Okay. I think...
In the meantime, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna. You got it. You're fine.
Okay. In the meantime, you may reacquaint yourself, or in the case of your companions, acquaint yourselves with the ship if you wish. There are a few systems that we have not been able to repair, unfortunately, at least not with the time that we had. The food replicator, we unfortunately were not able to get into working order. That requires far too intricate electronics and technology for us to produce here. But as well as the Umbra core of the AI that was on this ship, we were able to repair the port, but the core itself was damaged beyond repair. And when you are ready, you can join me outside the ship.
I think Naka would go over to the captain's chair and just like sit for a minute. But I think that as he sat, I think he would remember Vidar.
Damarov walks off the ship as you walk over to the captain's chair, and you sit recalling the times that you sat in this chair as a child and your father shooed you off. And then think of your new friends. Is there anything that anyone else would like to be doing or looking for? I know the rest of you guys are either locked up or not familiar with the technology, but if there's anything you're interested in, yeah, go ahead.
I have a note here from Iggy. He's listening. That he is at some point along the way returned the Pharaoh blade to Naka.
Right.
Oh, nice.
I imagine that would have probably happened before you entered this chamber.
Sure. Yeah. I think even at that moment while sitting in the chair, then I feel like I would pull it out, even though I can't do anything with it. Almost in like remembrance, like, you know, sitting in the chair holding the blade, as I'm sure I've seen my father do 1,000 times.
Absolutely.
Are there any of those wrist computers that the aliens are wearing lying around?
You make a investigation check.
17.
You don't find any. You begin rifling through the cabinets and storage lockers on the bridge, and see that they are all basically entirely empty. There are some rations that have been loaded into one of them, but otherwise there doesn't seem to be anything, any technology or anything laying around. And with that 17, I'll also give you the Domarov had said that all electronics, which you at this point would probably recognize as the data pads, the wrist pads, as being electronics, would have been damaged or destroyed in the entry. All right. If there's... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think, honestly, in sitting in the chair and all this coming back up, I'm going to, Naka would stand up out of the captain's chair and storm his way off the ship to the pod where Vidar is.
Okay. You do have to pass through that sort of airlock chamber, and you're sprayed down with chemicals again, but
Perfect.
you can continue on out.
Okay.
Domarov again watches you in silence.
And when I get to the pod, with all brawny and with all strength that I can muster, I would slam my fist against I know there's no glass, right? We can't see Vidar.
Right.
But I would slam my, both fist up against the thing, and I think in a heap of emotion would, fall to the ground.
All right.
In anger and frustration, obviously. I think everybody understands why.
Yeah. Are any of the rest of you? I suppose. What do you all do as Naka stands up and storms out of the bridge?
I think Yorfir would be quick to follow whatever Naka's gonna try to see what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Naka hasn't been one to show crazy outbursts like this, so I think Yorfir would be close behind to see what was going on.
Absolutely. How about Elora and Ember?
I don't think I would follow him. I'd be wondering what he's doing, but I think I'm gonna stay on the ship.
Yeah, I think I'm staying with Elora.
Okay.
I think after Yorfir seeing Naka fall, probably after a few moments, I think Yorfir would gently place his hand on Naka's shoulder. human hand, not the robot hand. Don't want to give you the chilies.
Yeah, you go to put your left hand on a shoulder, and then oh no, your right hand.
Robot hand.
I think Naka lifts his head. And acknowledges your fear and just says, if I could, I'd kill every last one of those things for what they took from me.
I think your fear would just kind of like squeezes his shoulder in a comforting manner.
Vidar, there was just a very, very loud bang on the door of the... Actually, Naka, give me a strength check.
Oh. Natural 20.
Bree, give me a strength check.
Yeah, Bree, give me a strength check.
Excuse me.
That would be a 22.
22. Yeah, the door dents in a little bit where Naka slammed into it. This massive half Goliath slamming with all his might. Yeah, what Vidar, what do you do when that happens?
I can't hear this conversation though, right? I'd probably touch the walkie-talkie thing. What's going on out there?
Nothing to see here. Move along.
So we can communicate with Vidar via the, like, is there a comm system from the outside? Okay.
Exactly.
I think Naka would push the button and say, "It's nothing you did."
Is everything okay?
It will be, yes. And you will be okay too.
I don't think I would say any respond.
Just a small side note. This escape pod would not be of the same model that was in your father's ship. This seems to be entirely separate, as are all of the other pods. There's half a dozen or so of them along this wall, all seemingly different makes.
I think Naka would gather his emotions, turn to your fear, and just actually, I'll pull him in for a hug.
Oh,
a strong Githyanki Goliath hug.
Remember, I'm mildly old. Don't break my bones, okay? Osteoporosis is setting in. Dude, what else have osteoporosis? I'm not sure. I think your fear would like obviously probably caught off guard a little bit from the green man hugging him, but I think he would embrace him back. Then we do the muscular predator handshake of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl.
Yeah, except there's a huge difference between one hand and the other. Okay. At this point, I think Damarov probably would walk out of the hangar bay and stand at a distance to you. Just say, whenever you're ready, we can move on.
I'm ready.
All right. I think he would give a little whistle, and his walking stick dematerializes and rematerializes with Ember and Elora, and as a small floating speaker, and you hear Damarov's voice. We will be continuing on outside the hangar if you care to join us, or you can stay in the ship if you prefer.
What are we doing next?
The weapons lab.
Excuse me?
Ooh, okay. I'm there.
Yeah. I'll follow Laura.
Okay. You all join him out in the hall outside the ship, or outside the hangar, and follow him further down the hall, and he turns into a white-walled room with white counters and all, basically every surface pristine white in here, and you see a few different people sitting at workbenches and working on weapons. They would all be dressed in not quite like clean suits, but you know, about as close as you would get on a medieval fantasy planet. And they all sort of stop what they're doing and look up at you all as you walk in. Well, this is the weapons lab. This is where we where we take weapons, existing weapons, and tear them down and figure out how they all work and try to use the technology for ourselves. Captain Naka, the most of the weapons that were on the ship, unfortunately at this point, have been dismantled, and I'm afraid I cannot return them to you. However, I do have one thing you might be interested in. And he walks over to one of the students working on what you realize to be a ferroblade. And he asks the student, is it ready for demonstration, do you think? And he says back, yes, at this point it's just in the final testing, but I think it is ready. And he hands it over to Damarov, who flips the switch and ignites it. A shimmering, crackling blue blade, omnite blue blade, extends from the hilt. And those of you who are from space realize there is no Pharaoh system connected to this. There is just a relatively small module, seemingly plugged into the ports that the Pharaoh blade would normally plug into the Pharaoh's blood system.
Let's go!
I call it the Wii Motion Plus.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I would gladly say, may I?
Yes, in fact, I see you have your own hilt, and he quickly twists and detaches this small module from the bottom and holds it out to you.
What? Okay. I insert the module into the hilt. Take a deep breath. And
We might have lost you there for a second. I think we missed the last part of what you said.
oh no.
You took this is a deep breath. It's a
Okay,
very deep
can you hear me
breath.
now?
Yes. Well, it's after the breath.
Okay, I took the deep breath and I pressed the button.
All right. Side note, welcome, Iggy.
Thank you. I've been listening.
Okay. Iggy snaps out of his stupor just in time to see Naka ignite his father's Pharaoh blade for the first time.
Let's go.
Watching the not golden but blue blade extend from it.
Hell yeah.
It's a long moment in the making.
I'm so glad that I got
Nope.
here for that.
There would definitely be a single tear.
Absolutely.
Yorfir takes out his sword and says, I see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
Hey, I've
How do you know that reference? Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a legend that's been passed down in Amnesia
Yeah.
for generations.
You haven't heard of the Schwartz? Every amnesian child was told the tales of the power of the Schwartz.
This is not canon. It's not real.
I mean, it's canon for the Celestials to know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's what you said about trade certificates. Look how that turned out for you.
Uh-huh.
I pressed the
So-
button again to retract the blade.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then I ask, is that a working Pharaoh blade? Speaking of the hilt that he holds.
Yes. We have a few others that were in poor condition, but this one is functional.
I know someone who would love this. Is Iggy in the room at this point?
He is in the room.
I feel like I'm very comfortable in this room. Just from the brief thing I heard about what this room is, it's like, yes, I'm home.
Iggy, Damarov holds out the other Pharaoh blade to you and says, I guess you would have lit up your eyes before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows.
So,
I also lit up Naka's father's blade to threaten him.
oh, right. Duh. Yeah.
He has seen me use a Pharaoh blade.
Right. Holds it out to you. As with the ship, we would prefer to get it back in working order, but we have been ordered to give you any assistance we can.
Is it just like laying on a table?
He's holding it out to you. He had taken it from the researcher that was working on it to detach the module and give it to Naka, and then
Gotcha.
it is still holding it, so he's now holding it out to you.
I'm gonna force pull it out of his hand and do what I've been practicing.
Your quick connect, yeah.
My one hand quick connect.
You see his eyebrows go up in surprise as you connect it. Do you ignite it?
Absolutely. This is a very Kylo Ren Force Awakens in the snowy forest moment. The like,
for sure. You extend the amber blade. This one looking very much like this blade looking very much like the one that your father had, Naka, and matching the color that it had when Iggy used it. And it crackles a bit with electricity.
And have I had a lot of exposure to ferro blades just in general? Like
probably not a lot. I imagine you would
tools?
have come across them. Yeah, I am. Yeah, there may have been some like essentially ferro scalpels that you would have used occasionally.
Would all of the ferro blades that I have used lit up with that same amber?
Yes, and actually you probably would have seen some fellow researchers light them up, and their color was also amber.
Gotcha. Would I have any clue, like, does the color of the blade have to do with the user and not a kyber crystal?
Give me a tech check.
I don't have my character sheet up, but I rolled a 7 on the die. I feel like I have like a +6 to tech.
That sounds about right.
13.
Yeah, given your exposure to them, I think every ferro blade that you have seen has been the same amber color.
Gotcha. So it's not even just everything that I have used, it's everything I've seen.
Right.
Okay. Okay, interesting.
Naka would hold out like his fist to Iggy for like a fist bump because now we both have swords.
Absolutely, 1000% returning that.
All right.
Sorry for that detour about Ferroblade lore. It just had never occurred to me until he mentioned the color of this other blade.
No.
Should be just for the fun of it. Almost every ferro blade is blue or amber.
Yeah, right.
Right.
But now Naka
true.
has one that's like that.
Exactly.
Yes.
Do we haven't seen that blade, right? Okay.
Correct. Yeah. All right.
Grant is thinking they made Blackmore's blade. I don't remember what his name is. Blackthorn.
Blackthorn. Yeah.
But Iggy doesn't know that.
Okay. You admire your shiny new ferro blades. Iggy, your new hilt actually will be all silvery metal with some sort of vents along the like lengthwise along the center of the hilt, which you realize actually makes it slightly uncomfortable to hold with your non-robotic arm, as it is venting heat almost directly into your hand. But
that doesn't matter to me.
It does not matter to you, indeed.
Cool. So heat doesn't bother me, but do I still have a sense for how hot things are?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, can I tell, is this hot enough that somebody else trying to hold this, it would be unbearable for? Or
no,
is it
wouldn't be
like
unbearable.
mild discomfort?
It's just discomfort, and you wonder why it was designed this way.
Gotcha. Okay.
Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. All right. Damarov takes you further into the lab, and Iggy, you have a start as you see two other students working on a bosonic charge.
A small one or a big one?
A big boy. Normal
cool.
sized, yeah. And
I was gonna say, if someone down here is stealing my work.
You see as your group walks up to them, one of them speaks up and says, Dean Damarov, we are actually ready for a test if you would like to observe.
Excuse me?
Yes, a test of the bosonic charge.
Wait,
where?
We have. He pulls out a wand and flicks it, and you see a tear open up in the air with it, and expose essentially a black abyss. We have pocket
Sick.
dimensions.
It's so cool.
We thought so too.
Yep. And the two of them together roll it through the tear in reality, and it sort of floats slowly into the pocket dimension. And they also throw in scraps of metal and empty a bag of sand into it, and just all kinds of small, strange objects. Yes, right. And then waves the wand again, and the tear closes, and you all wait for about a minute. Nothing seems to change, but the student waves the wand once more, and you see no longer a large metallic bosonic charge, but a small, probably less than fist-sized chunk of metal and bits of rock, and just super compressed. And they
Nice.
One of them sends out a mage hand and begins slowly pushing it back towards the entrance. And as it reaches the entrance and falls out. It lands on the floor with a heavy thud, and they, both of them together, reach down and begin lifting this up. It's, again, probably about fist-sized, but they are struggling to lift it up onto the desk.
Dope. Iggy's in heaven right now.
For sure. Domarov says, unfortunately, we cannot supply you with one of these, but thought it might be interesting while the opportunity was here. Iggy, you do, however, notice a number of nearby on one of the workbenches, a number of carved that was a lot of gold I just gave you. A carved bit, several carved chunks of omnite that are shining very brightly. I would say, given your recent interest in omnite cutting, I would say you would probably guess that these are either perfect or near perfect pieces of omnite.
Cool. But glancing around at whatever they've got on their workbenches surrounding the bosonic charge, can I tell, have they made substitutions? Can I tell if they're working with Imnite or I don't know. I guess can I tell just kind of at a glance how they've managed to get one of these functioning?
Yeah, give me another tech check with advantage.
Oh, that's a natural 20 on the first roll. So 26.
Roll it again, see if you get a double 20.
No, 14.
Okay. Well,
dirty 20.
Right. You glance around and immediately put together what they're doing. It seems that largely they have just taken apart several charges and reassembled one with the pieces of multiple damage charges.
Gotcha.
So it doesn't seem that, at least at the moment, they're making any substitutions.
So they have a limited number of resources because they only have so many bosonic charges.
Right.
And they've just spent a bunch of those resources.
They did indeed. As you watch, they've finally got the sphere onto the desk into a small cup-shaped holder for it, and have pulled out tools to begin dissecting this sphere, it seems.
Feel like is there anything that's here that I feel like I might need to finish my own charge?
Yes, in fact, the primary material that you have been missing is a relatively large chunk of omnite, which you have since learned needs to be perfectly cut.
Omnite, not Imnite?
Omnite. To miniaturize the bosonic charge, the ratio of omnite to Imnite changes
Inverse.
Drastically. Right.
Kind of. Okay.
Right.
All right. Copy that.
And there are several chunks sitting on the table.
Hey, boyos.
Yes?
I'm gonna start spouting bosonic charge jargon at them.
For sure.
So, totally just flex on them with how much I know about what they're doing.
Sure, yeah. So you start asking them questions about how exactly they assembled it, you know.
Yeah,
where'd you put
and like
this component, whatever.
Yeah. I'm also trying to gauge like how well do they know it, not
Sure.
only just like flex my muscles, but
Yeah. I would say you would realize that they know a lot about it. They don't know a lot of the specific terminology that you're using. They know
they've reverse
what pieces
engineered
go
it
where.
and come up with words for their own things.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like as you're having this discussion, you say a word and they look confused, and you like point it out on one of the dissected bosonic charges, and you get the sense that they are proficient enough to assemble one, but don't understand it well enough to design one.
Gotcha. Could I tell based on the explosion that we saw in the pocket dimension, was that like a fully realized bosonic charge? Or did they have a different ratio of Mnite to Omnite?
Interesting.
I imagine they must have it just out of just happenstance. They must have a different ratio of Mnite to Omnite, because where are they going to find, like, Omnite here is so plentiful, why would they just put a speck of Omnite, a single atom of Omnite in one of these things, you know?
Yeah, you do see it. Excuse me. It seems that they did use larger pieces of Omnite. In fact, you, as you're talking, they tell you that they were using those perfectly carved pieces in their tests.
Gotcha.
It seems that they assumed that it would require perfect Omnite to function properly, as all magic effects are improved.
Amplified with more Omnite. Yeah.
Right. And especially with the shape of the Omnite as well.
I think I would suggest that they, if they're trying to make a bigger boom, use less Omnite. And then I think I would pull out my small boy.
They immediately begin nerding out about it.
Yeah. And like explaining, like, this is a project I'm working on, blah, blah, blah. Anti-personnel rather than massive black hole. And I actually want the quantities of Omnite that you have to make this work. Blah, blah, blah. Can I have some, please?
They look over to Damarov, who says, I suppose it is easy enough to come by in the academy.
I would also like to ask if these pieces were cut here.
Yes, these were cut in the actually in the Omnicrafting laboratory elsewhere in the academy.
At some point, I'm saying this to Damarov, at some point I would like to be introduced to them.
Very well, that can be arranged.
If I'm not dead.
So just for my clarification, are you wanting that to be like today or tomorrow?
It can
or
be, it can be post campaign.
Cool.
This is for Iggy future plans, if he makes it out of this alive, I'm coming back here. Absolutely.
Yeah. So they give you a piece of Omnite. I would say you also notice the different chunks of Omnite are shaped differently, but I would say you don't know enough about what about Omnite cutting to tell what that might do to anything.
Okay. I'll just grab whatever one I think looks prettiest.
Sure.
Okay. I'm good. I don't need to suck up any more this time. Unless there's something else here that you want me to play with.
No, I believe that was it. I guess I would also say there would probably be a number of blasters around, just normal blasters of several varieties, if one of you are particularly interested in getting a new blaster. But otherwise, no, we can move on. Okay. Oh,
I want to mention that I would like to have had my Omni out floating around in this lab space. Like, I am home here, I want you to be home here kind of attitude.
Sure. Yeah, I think this is a relatively quiet and calm area. I think it would be pretty comfortable. As you are being let out by Damarov, he explains to you, Iggy, I am sure you particularly understand our desire to understand these devices, but they are... Our purpose is also much more practical, as we wish to understand the weapons of our enemies before they arrive, which I am sure is inevitable.
And should I make it out of whatever it is we're about to shoot headlong into, I will share what I know.
I would greatly welcome that. Okay. He leads you back through the halls, out past Vidar's pod. Would anyone like to do anything as you pass the pod?
Hi, Vidar. You doing
Hello.
okay?
Are you pressing the walkie-talkie thing? Can I actually hear this? Sorry.
Sure. How long has it been since Naka punched the wall?
Probably half an hour.
Okay. Yeah. You doing okay in there, Vidar?
How much chips and salsa did he provide? Is there like several servings, or was it
This
just one
man
serving?
more chips and salsa.
It's like enough for like 10 tables.
Oh dang. Okay, so I'm just munching away. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't even respond to your fear. I'm just enjoying. I've missed it.
Yeah, you just hear coming through the
All right.
Remind me, was it Chili's or Chi-Chi's?
Chili's.
Gotcha.
Oh, now I'm really sad. The option was
Chi-Chi's died when we are alive. It's
yeah, but
not around.
what if it was resurrected though?
Chi-Chi's salsa still exists.
Okay.
That's true. That's true.
What if there's just a generation that stumbled upon some book that told the great tale of the 90s Chi-Chi's? All right, continue on.
Yeah, Damarov leads you back up into the elevator and out into the alchemy lab. Carefully closes the door behind him and, peeks out the door of the storage room before exiting, making sure that the coast is clear. And leads you back out into the halls and past Ember, the display of flowers again.
I think I would stop him and say, what do you know about these flowers?
Well, I actually have made a bit of a study of them. I was very intrigued by them early in my time here. So I could give you a bit of the history of them, I suppose. The first known... Well, so first of all, these flowers are sacred to the Dicaxian gods and are used in the sages' rituals. But what I find much more interesting is when they are given as gifts and can be used to for divine intervention, to summon the help of the gods. So the first recorded instance was actually Shizuko, the first sage. She collected all 4 flowers and prayed to learn how to teach others to follow the path of the sage and to best worship the gods. Some other notable events, there was a 3-year drought in the verdant plains. I believe it was Gorman of the Rolling Hills clan used Wisdom's Waters, the flower of Aquitus, to call the rains and end the drought. There was a child of the Hanging Branch clan that was sadly killed in a battle during the purging of the sages, and the father of the clan, Paradis, used a guardian's mantle granted by Clypeus for his brave defense of the sages to bring the child back to life. And the last known person to have had and used one of these flowers is one Hagen the Healer, though no one knows exactly what she prayed for. And this was about 50 years ago.
Can any of the flowers be used to bring someone back to life? Or just the flower from Clypeus?
I do not know of any reports of all of the flowers being used, but at least 2 of them have definitely been used to bring people back to life. And I think it stands to reason that they all function mostly the same. I suppose maybe with slight differences based on the personalities of the gods, but... Are you Dicaxian?
I am.
Very interesting. Well, I'm glad that you are taking an interest in your the more esoteric elements of your culture. Is there anything else that you'd like to ask about here, or... Okay. Damarov leads you up, or on rather, to another wing of the building and into a set of dorm rooms. And it seems that there are dorm rooms with pairs of students in them, and he leads you to a section of the dorms that appear to be unused and says, you can have these 4 rooms if you wish. And I will. Iggy, you're muted.
Um, 4 rooms.
Yes, we happen to
Why
have
not?
4 available at the moment.
Okay. It's not like there are more, and he's saying you can have 4 because there's 4 of us, because there's clearly 5.
Right.
of us.
There are 5 of you, but there are 4 rooms. So at
Not
least one of
including
you
the
will
one
have to
who's
double
locked
up.
in the pod.
Right.
Okay.
You.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm not even sure that I would sleep. I feel like
Okay.
I would just be in the lab.
Interesting. So you would ask him to go back down to the
Yeah.
lab and work there. Okay.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
we're like calling it a night, I'm going back to the lab.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You go back to the lab and work through the night. Would you stop at any point, or are you just going straight through?
No, I think I would go straight through. That's
Okay.
how I go. That's what I do.
Yeah. I think given your lack of chemical assistance, I'm going to ask for a Constitution saving throw.
Okay.
See how well you weather the night.
Yeah. Eight.
You have a rougher night than you remember ever having before, staying up this late. You're having trouble keeping your eyes open at several points, and occasionally slip with whatever you're working on a little bit. Nothing major, but and assuming that you don't at some point decide to go to bed, I would say you would have a level of exhaustion in the morning.
Okay.
I think
I'll take that.
your fear would, since he was frozen in carbonite the last episode, I'm gonna say your fear is gonna sleep outside of Vidar's little tank to make
Interesting.
sure
Okay.
no one f's with him.
Sure. Yeah, they bring out a little bedroll for you and set that up in front of the tank, in front of the pod. And Ember, Alora, Naka doing anything particular for the night?
I'm sleeping soundly in a bed, so
Yep.
knowing that a spider isn't next to me, too.
For sure.
An extra comfort.
And Naka, what would you
Racist.
say? Oh, for sure. Okay. Each in your own rooms, I assume, and you pass the night.
Okay.
Your fear. Is your fear the only one outside of the pod?
I believe so.
Okay. Your fear, after a long night, probably occasionally getting woken up by the sound of just footsteps walking by of, not often, but various people walking back and forth. In the morning, you are eventually woken by what sounds like a small fleet of footsteps moving in your direction.
Are they they're getting closer? Obviously.
Yeah.
I'm gonna peek my eyes open. What do I see coming down the hallway?
You see Dr. Domarov and what look like 7 or 8 students walking behind him.
They're like walking with a purpose, or are they kind of like nonchalant?
Walking with a purpose. Give me a perception check.
Okay.
Did anyone tell your fear that that the reason Vidar was locked in the thing was so that in the morning?
The anatomy professor's coming.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
Natural 20.
Good night. You do see that all of the students do seem to be armed.
Like blasters, or are we talking like Harry Potter gats?
They look like rifles, blaster rifles.
Okay. Now, I just want to clarify. We were told he was we were waiting for the anatomy professor to come and look at him in the morning, correct?
The anatomy professor was not going to be available until the morning, correct?
Okay. I think your fear is gonna get to his feet and kind of stretch preparedly and just say, "So, gentlemen, what brings you over here in the morning?"
We have come to collect your friend for his examination.
Where's the examination gonna be held?
Upstairs in the operating theater.
Excuse me? I thought the doctor was coming down here to check him out.
He prefers to do his work in his own, his home turf, as it were.
Interesting language when talking about this subject. Have we talked? Did you get?
The professors of this school are very territorial.
They're very territorial. I can see. Yes. Yeah. Did you tell everyone else? Did you get everybody else up?
Caleb, remind me of the order of events here. This would be prior to collecting everyone else, correct?
At this moment, yet nobody else has been.
Okay.
Okay. Gotcha. Let's go get everyone else before we. I think they're gonna want to go to the operating theater. You said.
Yes.
I thought this was an examination. Like he's gonna look him over real quick before we do anything.
It will be non-invasive.
Can I insight check that?
Sure.
That's a natural 20.
And I got a nat 10, so yeah, I would say you get that he is absolutely nervous about the prospect of letting Vidar out, but he seems to be truthful about the operation.
Okay.
The procedure.
I'm going to. How far was the armory from the tank?
That would have been probably like 100 feet or so down the hall.
Would I be able to send a message to Jitters through Finch?
Jitters.
It's a good name. Yes, you can. That's how those work.
Okay. I just didn't know if it was too far of a distance, that's all. I would like Finch to project to Jitters exactly what I'm seeing right now. I would like Finch to know I want him to notify Iggy that we're going to basically project where we're going and to get the rest of the group. Because I don't know if I think they're going to get the rest of the group. and I don't plan on leaving Vidar's side. So.
Do you do anything with this information, Iggy?
Yes. I drop whatever I'm doing, and sorry, I was kind of waiting to see if, like, yes, that happens.
Oh, sure. Yes, it
Not
occurs.
like, okay. I wasn't sure if there was some kind of, like, you know, we've never tried this before, and
sure. Yes, images flash
miscommunication or whatever. Okay, cool.
Seems functional.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna drop whatever it is I'm doing in the lab and immediately run and grab everybody else.
Okay. Yeah, it probably takes you, 10-15 minutes to, run up and just start knocking everybody's door. You all probably hear the sound of very rapid knocks on all of your doors at a relatively early hour. How do you react, those of you that are able?
Calling from my bed, probably.
Yeah, same.
Laura's just
I'm still in bed.
5 more minutes.
Iggy, everybody else has come out except for Laura.
Well, screw her. Let's go. I'm gonna bang one more time and just say, hey, they're trying to take Vidar away. Be there or be square.
That's a
Fine.
heavy
Jeez.
way of saying that.
Good morning to you too.
All right.
I'll get out of bed.
Another 5 or 10 minutes later, you all quickly throw
I'm
your
not waiting.
stuff together.
Laura just goes out in the hallway. No one's there. She just.
Everyone is listening. Where do I go?
You all run back downstairs to the pod. You've all been there. You know where it is. And you all see the pod, your friends, Domrov, and 8 armed students.
Or if you're standing like a vintage boxer, ready to feed someone a knuckle sandwich. They're trying to take him to a operating theater. So I figured you guys would want to be awake for that.
To answer your question, Naka, they are not currently pointing their blasters at anything. To say at ease is maybe a little misguided. They all seem very nervous.
Boo.
They are college students, grad students, to be fair. But this is not necessarily what they do on a regular basis. They're not trained guards. You're all getting around the pod and sort of encircling it. John, it sounds like the stream lost your audio again. I believe it has to do with whether or not you have your video on. So if you could try to either turn your video on or rejoin with your video, that would be awesome.
Do any of the college students have Omnis?
A few of them do, yeah.
Which one's like the one that's like the most scared? Whichever one I feel is like sweating the most, I want Finch to project the image of the spider legs coming out of Vidar's back and lifting him up off the ground.
Oh, gosh.
As hilarious as that is, omnis do not work that way.
Oh, come on!
They can communicate with their owner and other omnis. Not.
Oh, that's what I want to send it to that omni.
To the Omni. And
To
the
the
Omni.
Omni.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I want to do
missed
the
that part.
telephone.
I missed that part.
Yeah. You see the owner become even more nervous, and upon closer inspection, you see a tiny little wet spot.
I know his pain. I too suffer from urethra problems.
All right.
I think I would volunteer, like, we can be the first line of defense. If he gets through us, y'all are screwed anyway, so...
That's right.
The students all sort of look up at Domarov, and then all sort of back up behind all of you, but raise up their blasters and just point it towards the door.
Domarov sighs.
I think with that, I
and
look.
walks up to the door and enters a quick code. And
Before the door opens, I feel like I would hit the radio button and say, hey, there are gonna be guns pointed at you. It's okay. They're not gonna shoot you.
I'd just chip it
And
away.
if they do, they're all gonna die.
Yeah, we're treating
And I
this
look
thing
at
hostile.
Domarov when I say that.
Yeah, I feel like you should put those guns down so this the spider thing doesn't think you guys are going to kill it. It's pretty temperamental. Hide them. Point them at the ground.
All of them hear you say that, but none of them drop their weapons.
Just point them at the ground. Don't drop them.
none of them lower their weapons.
None of them lower their weapons.
Okay.
Vidar, over the course of the night, as the hours pass, isolation certainly weighs heavy on you. Memories of your journey flicker through your mind, offering brief distractions in the tiny chamber. However, the harder you focus on calling back the memories, the fuzzier they seem. It's hard to recall even how you ended up on this planet at all, let alone found yourself captive in the basement of a college dormitory. In the uniquely cold silence, you can occasionally focus in on the typically mundane sound of your own heartbeat and the unsettling, slow, almost imperceptible movements of your unwanted passenger, adjusting its twisted position throughout your torso and limbs. Suddenly, the quiet is shattered by the sound of a friend over the intercom, followed by the pod door sliding open with a hiss, flooding the space with blinding light, brighter than you remember. As you pull down the hand you used to shield your eyes, you find 8 very bright lights pointed in your direction, fixed to 8 loaded blaster rifles. A fleet of armed guards, as well as all of your friends, stands before you. Even from a distance, though, you can see the beads of sweat pouring down the sides of the guards, or the students' heads. The tension in the air certainly is palpable, and you can feel the muscles tense in the legs protruding from your back. In front of the guards, you see Dr. Domarov. His gaze meets yours, offering a hint of understanding amidst the situation. You're muted.
Thank you. I hope your night was at least uneventful, given we couldn't make it comfortable.
It was all right.
Well, the surgery room is prepared. I will need you to come with us.
Can I retract my leads for now? Because I know that was a thing I could do. Just to seem as least threatening as possible.
You go to pull on the neurons that you would think to make that work, and they do not seem to respond to you.
Got it.
Stepping out of the pods and standing for a brief moment among your friends, is there anything any of you would like to do?
Good luck.
Feel like I'd probably lock eyes with Naka and then look at the 8 dudes with guns and ignite the blade and just say, all right, lead the way.
Yep, and I would ignite my blade as well.
All right. Vidar, you begin stepping forward as Damarov leads you. You feel the weight of the guards' eyes on your back, their weapons still aimed directly at your torso. Even amongst your very clouded memories, one comes back into sharp focus. The last time you departed from one of Xeon DB5's orbital stations, surrounded by a very similarly equipped and similarly terrified fleet of guards. You can feel the muscles tense and the legs protruding from your back, ready to pounce at the slightest sudden movement. It takes about 10 minutes to walk to the operating theater from here. Is there anything anybody's trying to do along that walk?
Okay. Your description there just took me back to our episode 0.
That was the goal. There's parallax.
I know exactly what he's talking about. I didn't know why that was the case in the moment, and I do now.
Yeah. That was how Vidar was introduced. He was let out into a station, and guards just with guns followed him all the way through. Eventually, as you approach the room labeled operating theater, the door hisses open, and you step into what could possibly be the most unique surgery room any of you have ever seen, a blend of old world design and futuristic innovation. The space is dominated by a floating surgery table at the center, its surface a gleaming metal with glowing runes etched into its surface. Several dozen doctors walk about, each looking busier and more focused than the last. Above, instead of traditional lighting, omnis float in the air freely, casting a soft blue light across the room. You see a handful of doctors moving them from place to place and seemingly adjusting their brightness to shed light on whatever they're focusing on at the moment. To one side, a large screen displays several large diagrams of RNO from different angles and poses. Many doctors surround the screen, each pointing to different organs and speaking in hushed tones. Despite the sprinkling of modern technology, you find a wide array of amphitheater-style seating rising in rows around the central floor. These seats are filled with a smattering of onlookers watching intently from a safe distance. There's probably 30 to 40 people in this room altogether, either on the operating floor itself or up in the seats above. Is there anything any of you would like to do or ask as you enter the room?
Anybody have any junior mints? No, not kidding. That's
No, I just have Reese's Pieces.
I would probably ask, will I be conscious for this examination?
Yes. It will, however, should not be painful. It will not be invasive.
And just nod.
few moments later, a wood elf in what looks like a white lab coat walks over to all of you, and not hard to see who the patient is in the situation given the legs. Sticks his hand out towards you, Vidar, and introduces himself as Dr. Malgus, a director of anatomy at this university.
Does he have a scar from where a node would be?
Not.
I just shake his hand. Very nervous, so not talking much.
Sure. As you shake his hand, he holds it tight and doesn't let go at a normal rate, and you can see him like moving your hand and rotating it around and just examining it a little bit. Do you have any questions for me before we begin the procedure?
Do you come from this planet?
Born and raised. But I have studied for many decades that which lies beyond.
Good enough for me.
Good. Because I'm the best you've got.
Does he believe that? Can I roll insight check on that?
You don't have to. He believes that.
Okay.
He's the director of anatomy. For sure.
I would like to obnoxiously loudly announce that if anything should happen to Vidar, anyone who is involved in this process will not leave this room.
I can assure you, if anything happens to Vidar, it will happen to many of us very shortly. We have been studying RNO specifically for a number of years, and although we have not had a living subject, we have learned a fair bit from what we can of their corpses. All right. And he motions Vidar for you to step towards the operating table, and then motions for the rest of you to take seats. Essentially, they've set up a row of seats on the ground floor, not up in the theater, to watch. Do you all move to your places?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did you say that he motioned to a place where we can watch? I would like to find a seat that's not very close.
You'd like to go far away. Okay, not a problem. Yep.
She cast fog cloud over herself. They're just like Pigpen in the back of the classroom. Just a cloud of fogs over Laura.
I'm also going to ignore wherever we've been told to sit and sit in the front row.
Sure. The seats that you were given are the closest seats that anybody not operating are available.
Yeah, I'll sit there.
I was going to say I'm standing next to the operating table, but I figured that was a step too far.
Dr. Iggy at your service.
As Dr. Malgus starts walking back towards the table, Vidar, I'm assuming, behind him, everybody sort of immediately just parts the Red Sea and gets out of the way. You can see almost everybody filing back up into the amphitheater seats above above, probably only 5 or 6 individuals staying down on the floor, one of which being Dr. Domarov as well. Dr. Domarov, any reason we shouldn't commence?
I do not believe so. And Domarov makes his swarm of nanobots vanish from the form of his staff again and reappear in the shape of a small black pill, which actually probably a rather large pill, but holds out to Vidar.
I'll take it.
And as with a glass of water as well.
I don't think I need the water. I think I've had enough pills in my life. I just swallow it.
Just throw it down. Cool. Dr. Malguth, as after you take it, please lie down. And
Follow
as
those
you
instructions.
lie down on the table itself sort of floats up. Even you, for the rest of you as a distance, can see there's nothing holding this table up, but as it does raise a little bit, you can see some of the glowing runes glow a little bit brighter. As you comply, Vidar, and lie back on the floating table, the room falls into a deeper silence than before. Moments pass, filled with nothing but the sound of collective breaths being held in suspense. Eventually, you feel the pill descend your esophagus and feel the slight twinge of what could almost be mistaken for an upset stomach, had you not known better. Then, Dr. Domarov begins. His hands weave through the air, casting a spell of major illusion. Above you, a spectral image flickers into existence, a rough skeletal form that mirrors your own. Points of light, small and numerous, start to dot the form, each a beacon sent back from the nanobots, now navigating the labyrinth of your body. A glowing constellation of data points slowly coalesces into a horrifying visage. Gradually, the true extent of the RNO's intrusion is revealed. The lights cluster and expand, stretching the monstrous size it has achieved. Its limbs, long and invasive, trace the lines of your own, folding back and forth down the length of your arms and legs several times over. The torso, a massive entity in itself, exerts pressure on your internal organs. The bases of the legs weave dangerously close to your vital pathways, twisted around your intestines and ribs. Is there anything you'd like to do while this is happening? Dr. Malguth looks up, sort of arms folded up with the major illusion in the air, and just calls out towards Dr. Domarov, circulatory.
And the illusion changes, highlighting your circulatory system.
Your lungs start lighting up, and all of the various veins and whatever pulsing through your body. Or not your lungs, your heart, sorry. I was reading the next one. Respiratory.
And now your lungs light up.
Yeah. Digestion.
The others fade, and your stomach and full intestine tract lights up.
You can see every time this is happening, he's just very closely looking over, walking around different angles. You can see a handful of other doctors sort of immediately behind him, writing down on some look like notepads and others on data pads and whatnot. Nervous system.
And the complex system of nerves appears in the illusion, stretching through at least the non-mechanical parts of your body.
He looks deep and hard over this one, examining it as close as he can. And then, after a good 20 seconds or so of looking at it closely, he just claps his hands twice and starts walking away from the operating table. And as he does, almost as if on cue, everybody in the operating theater, like up in the seats, immediately stands up and starts filing out of the room. Alora, you probably have to like nudge out of the way to allow people to pass by you.
Kind of parlor trick.
Was that it?
Anything any of you would like to do while people are filing out?
What's going on?
I find it best to discuss results with the patients themselves. The students can discuss what they've seen later.
Okay.
After a few moments, effectively everyone outside from Dr. Domarov, Dr. Malgath, and a couple other professionals behind them leave the room, and the doors close. And Dr. Malgath nods back towards Dr. Domarov.
The major image reappears, still showing the nervous system highlighted.
He kind of like points up towards the sort of top center of the spine area. Can you get a little closer to this, Domarov?
And it expands, the edges of the body fading as it focuses in.
Vidar, can you pay attention right here? And he points out what looks like the nervous system, your own nervous system, as well as a bit fainter, but you can see the bits of the nervous system of the RNO. And you can see that several of the veins are connected all the way through the RNO to you. It seems that this RNO has managed to fuse itself in one way or another with your nervous system itself, which I imagine has led to the communication that I've been told you've been able to have with it.
Yep.
I can also speak with confidence that even if there was a way to safely remove all of the rest of the RNO from you, severing any of those connections, the hundreds of them, each individual one of them could be fatal.
But is it possible?
Professionally, no.
I think I would just sit there for a minute, not saying anything.
And what about unprofessionally?
Professionally is all I know. There is... This connection is... They are closer to 1 than 2 now.
But the Archon of Alchemy from Dawncrish said you could help.
If anyone could, it would have been us. But there is nothing that can be done with everything I understand about how your body works and how its body works.
Having basically heard the same news from the Arbiters saying I'm as good for dead, I'd probably ask, do you know how long I have left?
Dr. Malgith turns around and takes off his gloves that he was wearing and shoves them into his pocket and grabs one of the chairs, probably Alora, the one that you didn't sit in, and walks it over to the side of Vidar's table and sits it down and sits down next to you. He clears his throat, not just to be able to speak, but you get the sense that he's buying a few more seconds to try to delay this conversation as much as he can. Vidar, in the annals of our history, the Elysians faced a moment that changed the existence of every generation that has come since. The scriptures of Eternus spoke of an afterlife for his faithful. Rolling hills of endless fruit and game. No death and no loss and no pain. Eternal freedom for the arguably reasonable price of obedience. But as you have likely already heard, it was not a price we were willing to pay. We slew him knowing full well we were closing the door to our own eternities and our children's eternities and theirs. There is no heaven waiting for them, for us, and no promise of a better existence beyond this life. And we've resigned to the fact that this is all we've got. But that is why we named it Elysium. Because we realize that the only heaven we'll get to see is the one we work to build. A few short years, a century, if you're lucky, is all the time that we get to build. But the heaven we build can last forever. He looks directly into your eyes. Vidar, if you are very lucky, you have days. And if you are less lucky, you have hours. There is... Go ahead.
During this conversation, I'd probably reach in my pocket and just leave my hand there, fidgeting with something, but...
Okay. There is no promise of a fix for you. There's no promise of anything after this. There is no solace for Elysians or for you. Only a challenge. You have less time than most. Certainly everyone in this room. But as long as you're still here, there's heaven you could build. You can shape your legacy, not just for your own memory's sake, but for those around you in this room and otherwise.
Who's the one saying this? Is this
Dr. Malgoth?
okay?
I wish I had more for you than that. And then he stands up and picks up the chair and puts it up against the wall and motions to several of the other doctors who, outside of Dr. Damarov, follow him out of the room.
You're muted, Steven.
I thought I clicked and I must have missed. Damarov gestures towards Iggy and Naka, waving you to walk over to him. Okay. You know what these can do. The danger that he poses. I will not rob your friend of whatever time he has left, but I will leave the two of you with a duty. You have to kill the RNO before it infects anyone else. You, by the way, this conversation is happening like on the other side of the room from Vidar. You must do this for the sake of billions of lives. An outbreak on this planet would be devastating. Can I trust you to do this?
Our loyalty is to Vidar, not the thing inside him.
And if it comes to killing Vidar along with the thing inside him, if it seems clear that it's going to break out, do you think you could do that? Or failing that, are you confident that you could kill the RNO once it has left? Very well. Then I will leave him in your hands.
Are the rest of you doing anything?
At this point, I'm probably just sitting on the table. I haven't been the first time I heard bad news, so not crying a ton, but probably a few tears. But now looking at, I pull out the Umbrator of Cerberus and remembering the promise I made him and not knowing now whether I can keep that promise.
Naka, well, I know, Grant, you weren't there, but Iggy was. Do both of you, seeing Vidar pull this out and play around with it, probably remember back to being on the ship that you were on last night and Dr. Domrov calling out that although the ship's AI was broken and non-functional, the Umbra Core port was reported to be functional.
I can't remember, are we aware of the fact that Vidar is trying to find a body for Cerberus?
Yeah.
I said it in the
it's been
memorial
said,
service.
sure.
Okay.
Is there anything any of you would like to do?
I probably put a hand on Vidar's shoulder, seeing him tear up a little bit.
I'll probably make my way back down with the party.
Is Steven, what's the character you're playing?
Domarov.
Domarov. What about Elwyn? Would he be able to help at all?
Dr. Thorne, no, this is unfortunately not his area of expertise. If you want experimental magic, then he's your man, but not of this variety.
So Vidar, I don't know about the rest of the group, but you are welcome to stay with us for the rest of our journey and the rest of yours.
I think I would nod and then respond. I always knew this wasn't curable. I was just delaying the inevitable. And I'm glad to have had this experience before the end comes.
All right. After a few more minutes, probably spent in relative silence in this chamber, Dr. Domarov would probably mention something to the effect of getting back towards the ship and familiarizing yourself with the tools.
Okay.
Not knowing the ship needs an Umbra Core, on the way I would probably mention to him. You seem to mix magic and technology in a way I don't think anyone's seen, and I would show him the Umbra Core. I made a promise to my friend to find him a new body. Is there anything you can do?
Well, We unfortunately have not salvaged any, at least functional, androids with an Umbra Core port. But the ship that your friends took a quick tour on yesterday, and because you, I suppose, were not there to hear it, is yours to use as you will, has an Umbra Core slot on it. It can... It is not perhaps a typical body, but it could be used.
Is this normal? I haven't heard of this isn't in character. A ship having an Umbra Core slot?
It wouldn't necessarily be normal, but it's also not unheard of. There, particularly in Dijian collective ships, there are usually AIs of some sort in like plugged into the control system, but a select few of those would also not just a normal and AI, but would have a one of the advanced Umbra Core AI in it. So it seems likely that Naka's father at some point raided and took one of these modules from a Dijian ship.
Does it need one to run?
Sorry, you cut out for part of that.
Does the ship need an Umbra Core to run?
No, it can run quite well without it, although you might need... You would each need to learn a system of the ship to get it running properly without an AI. But if you have one capable of running the ship, then that would simplify things.
Last question, not in character. Can Umbra Cores be taken out and plugged into new bodies seemingly at will, or is there...
You already did it.
I did it once, but I didn't know if it was a flipped thing. I didn't want to put him in there and then not be able to take the Umbra Core.
It can be done.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be done very often, but it can be.
Okay. So
and generally you want to
thing.
like you want to do like a system shutdown before you pull it, but
right,
yeah,
you don't just want to eject.
Right. Eject USB disk.
So it could be a temporary thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
You all head back towards the ship then.
I'm following wherever Vidar goes.
Yeah, same.
All right.
I don't know where the ship is, so I'm leading you down the wrong
Sure.
path.
I'm sure eventually Damrov reels you in and brings you towards that chamber. Although everybody else goes through the decontamination chamber, once again, a side door is open for you to avoid it. You all make it back to the Umbra Imago, up through the loading bay, and eventually up towards the bridge. And after a moment, Dr. Damrov opens up a small panel on the wall, and Vidar, you see a Umbra Core port. Looks a lot like an XLR cable, but real big, probably. And more techie.
Probably glowing.
Do I realize this is Naka's dead ship?
I don't think that's been communicated to you yet.
So I just would go up and plug it in. I don't think I would ask for permission then.
Naka, are you going to say anything? Also, I don't have a video from you, so I don't think the stream can hear you if you're about to say something. You say something to me and I'll relay it to the people out there and then refresh. All right, Naka is asking Vidar what he's planning on doing with this thing.
I made a promise to my friend that I would find him a new body, and it seems like the ship needs an Umbra core. It seems like perfect fit for now.
All right, Vidar, you plug in the Umbra core and click it into place, and there's a couple of locks that you flip over, and you see a number of lights start like turning on and bleeping around the port. You then see a number of what looks like LED screens and panels over at the front of the bridge start lighting up one after another, and eventually you hear the sound of a voice coming out from several speakers at once.
Vidar? I am awake. I am awake. Systems are booting. Vidar, are you there? My friend?
Cerberus?
Just satisfaction coming through the tone. You are there. Oh, it is so good to hear your voice. I feel a little strange. I feel a little weird. Are you okay? Is everything all right?
I think at this point I would probably break down and start to cry even more.
Yeah.
More so than I did when I heard the news.
For sure. Matt doesn't really know what's going on as much as Cerberus does right now, so he might need to be filled in on why he doesn't have arms and legs.
I can't seem to comfort you with my appendages. They don't seem to be attached in some way. There are additional systems hooked up to me as well. I'm quite confused, but I'm sure it'll be all right. No need to cry.
I don't know if we want to add to this, or I would just go through it, spend a couple of minutes explaining everything that happened from the crash land to
Cerberus. Eventually, hopefully earlier in the story rather than later, it is described that you are currently the AI on a ship that you have taken over, and spending a few minutes to get familiar with the new appendages, I guess you'd call them. You eventually manage to activate a number of cameras that allow you to see into various rooms throughout, as you're sort of clicking open whatever programs you have access to. When you do eventually see Vidar, though, it is with some surprise, as he does appear to have what looks to be 4 very long Arano legs protruding from his back.
I think it's just kind of crackling static for a while, and then speak up and say, Are you still you? You sound like you, and are you? Tell me you are all right.
I'm all right for now, but I've probably only got a couple days left. We fought it off for a long time, Cerberus, and thank you for that, but I don't think there's any more that can be done.
There is nothing. You have looked into everything, into all avenues.
All the experts on this planet seem to not be able to help.
then we must go to another planet. We are on a ship, are we not? Is that the sort of ship I have been installed in? We can do this. We can take you back home. They would certainly, the medicine, there must be something we can do.
What was our next mission? We were told to get here, but we don't know the next step, right?
As this conversation is going on, a number of grad students come sort of quickly running down the hallway and yelling out for Dr. Domarov.
That doesn't bode well.
Domarov walks off the ramp of the ship and seems to be having a short conversation with the students.
Is this a conversation that can be eavesdropped on?
Yeah, are they close enough to listen to that?
It probably doesn't last very long, and then they all start moving up in your direction.
Do they have guns?
Up in our direction in a threatening manner?
No, not that you can tell.
Agitated, certainly, but not threatening.
Okay.
The two college students run over to the control panel at the bridge of the ship and start tapping on things while Domarov faces all of you.
It seems that there is a new broadcast being sent out. The communications that I mentioned we had been monitoring, it seems that there is a wide-scale broadcast on all channels.
And just as he's finishing that, and I imagine Cerberus, it feels a little strange to have keys touched that are, controlling the system you're connected to. It might tickle a little bit at first.
Stop
that. And then sort of full screen across the wide cockpit thing that you're in, you all see a giant T minus and then a countdown approximating about 4 hours.
Is this something to be concerned about, Vidar?
I don't know what this is.
Can you read you're the AI of the ship. Can you tell us what it's about?
Cerberus, you don't probably have your character sheet with you, do you?
I have my level 1 character sheet.
Why don't you give me a tech check with advantage?
Okay, I can do that.
That's I can give you.
I think I know what this is. But I don't
18 natural.
18. All right.
Launching us into space.
18. Upon investigating some of the metadata of the signal that's receiving, you find two things. Number one, you find a origin point of the signal that seems to be departing from a city that doesn't mean anything to you, but seems to be on the outskirts of Silvarum, Stephen?
Yes.
Is that correct? Which the rest of the party, that was also where a large clump of signals had previously left way back when you were at the biodome. The second thing that you find upon further scanning through the metadata is that this does seem to be sent from and along Lunar Enclave channels, and you see several sort of remarks in the encoding regarding something referred to as the vessel.
All right.
Okay. Vidar, are those who I am unfamiliar with here authorized to hear information that is being given to you?
Yes, I know you want to get off this planet, but I don't think there's anything back home that can help me either. People here need help.
We'll return to that discussion later, and then he'll just go ahead and he'll relay out that information that he just supplied.
Seems our interference at the plant in wherever that was we were, Vita Nova, did not do enough, if anything, to delay this rocket.
Nope. And we got 4 hours before it goes off, I guess.
Cerberus, how long until you think you could be ready to disembark?
Ignatius, I'm glad to see you. Where is your sister?
Oh no.
I'll tell you later.
I think Cerberus is smart enough to understand that. You need not if you wish not. How long would it take me to get this thing up and running?
There are a lot of systems that you, generally speaking, will be able to run on autopilot, given you have a capable pilot at the wheel.
Okay.
You're the captain.
I believe I can see through my new sensors that we have a captain aboard. And this time he does not ask about missing crew members.
John, we also don't have audio from you on the stream. I don't know if you can refresh real quick and make sure you have your video on.
Barring a experienced pilot, I believe I can get this thing in the air quite quickly.
By some amount of estimates as to where you are and where the signal is coming from, and a brief scan of the capabilities of the ship, Cerberus, you are able to determine that it will take about 3 hours to arrive.
Okay. I will tell them that with a bunch of fancy words like plotting coordinates and downloading parameters and calculating distance and stuff like that.
All right.
That is a low ship, Naka.
Is the Dean still in the...
Thanks, guy.
Here?
Yes, though he's probably preparing to leave at this point.
Do we need to worry about other people noticing a flying spaceship?
There is a... he gestures over towards massive doors at the other end of the hangar in front of the ship. This tunnel leads far away enough from the academy that no one should notice.
Don't spaceships by this point in time have any kind of cloaking devices?
I mean, in the Star Wars 5e rules, there are cloaking devices, but they have to be installed on a ship and are have limitations. So this ship does not seem to have one.
Okay. I feel like I would look toward Naka and just say, all right, Captain, what are your orders?
And as soon as he rejoins the call, because he's having connection issues, I'm sure he will have a great response for you.
Oh, shoot.
Come on, John.
I'm doing whatever Naka tells me to do.
Can I just ask Vida really quick, just some, like, get a lot of details as I'm starting systems up and be like, this rocket, is this a go to space sort of rocket, or is this like a bomb rocket?
Both? It's a go to the moon and potentially blow up the planet?
Right. So the second one, mostly then.
Yeah.
I think I'll try to just ask him again, just go only through one speaker that's close to him, and be like, how long has it been since I shut down?
I think Steven just figured that out. It was...
the short estimate is about 16 days, now 17 days. It could be up to 20 or 21, so between 2.5 and 3 weeks, essentially.
Right, okay. I'm just kind of... I wish that things had gone differently, but you seem to have grown even in such a short amount of time, and come into more of yourself. Is this true?
I would take a second. There's an entire new perspective on this planet. And I think it's forced many or all of us Celestials to change.
Change could be good.
At least listening again. Can we hear him?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Naka, you were the captain was asked of if he had any orders.
The context being, we're getting the ship ready to take off. It will take us 3 hours to get there, and there's a 4-hour countdown until launch. And this was the, all right, what are your orders, Captain? Tell us what to do to get this ship off the ground. Not necessarily asking for anything specific. Just tell us what to do, kind of, and we go do it.
Cerberus has already plotted some coordinates down, and you have a pretty direct route.
Just because the stream does not seem to be getting him. Naka was looking around and asking the crew, "What do we do?"
That's your job. So Naka, I imagine you start barking out a number of orders that Naka would know and John may not, of roles, the seats that need to be sat in and roles that needs to be fulfilled, leaving the more technical roles for those who know how to push buttons. And I imagine you all start sitting down and strapping in. Maybe some of the terrestrials need to be taught how seatbelts work, because that might be a bit of a foreign concept. And
yes, there are seatbelts on these ships.
Yes, most definitely.
Your
Everybody
fear
start.
doesn't trust them because it's a limiting his freedom.
Your fear pulls out a rope and just starts taking his own.
He doesn't do anything anyone tells him.
Yeah, and over just a couple minutes, Cerberus, you managed to have the engines. They seem to be operational. Everybody seems to be sat down, and Naka, you take a seat in the pilot seat in your father's old ship.
On we go.
Tripping.
On we go.
He said, "On we go."
Yes. I tried to send it to the stream through a cheap way, and it certainly did not work. Yeah, you push down on the throttle and start feeling the ship start closing into the back port, and the landing gear starting to shake as it lifts up into the air. Damarov, probably you can't see at this point, looking up towards the ship, and you slowly push it forward as the ship starts moving towards the gates that start slowly opening up. And just as there is enough room for you to escape through those open pod doors, Naka, you slam this gas like your father always told you not to, and gun it, just thundering out of the side of the open door. There's no way any of you would know this, but Damarov very frustratedly sighs at the sound you make and opens his bag to grab several dozen modify memory spells and starts making his way upstairs to clear everything everybody heard. Naka, you start carving through the very snowy, icy mountains that surround the college, sort of darting in and out. Probably all of the terrestrials working hard to hold on to the lunch that you probably had the day before, as he's doing freaking barrel rolls. Give me, Naka, can you give me a piloting check to see how this is going?
So, is this something I can give assistance? I'm proficient in piloting.
Sure, yeah, with advantage. Nineteen. No problem. This ship is what you learned on, and it is what you excel on. And you are ripping through the valleys, flying much lower than you ever needed to. There are several trolls that look up and are horrified at this giant chunk of metal just soaring straight over their heads, before you eventually break out into the open seas and start curling around to the east towards Silvarum. And that is probably where we are going to leave the episode off for today at 11:59. I don't think we've ever had a more perfect end.
Can I say one thing though? Can I say one thing? I want to message Ember really quick.
Okay.
While we're
go ahead.
flying, I heard you talking to Damarov about the flower resurrecting individuals. Is that your intention? And I want to remind you that she has my earrings. So if she can answer it.
Sure.
I'll message you.
Okay.
All right. Anything else anybody like to do? Cerberus, welcome frickin' back. It's nice to have you on board, or
As a ship, literally aboard. The board. Thank you.
You should check over the weapon systems you have access to. They might come in handy later.
I have weapon systems? Oh, shit. Fuck yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
All right, yeah, that works for me.